Hey guys, this is Pat from Rain Country Homestead. God is good all the time. Now today I'm out here messing around with this mill a little bit more, fine-tuning some things and putting some things back together on it that were taken off from the last owner. Today what I want to do is I want to reinstall this adjustable leg for the mill. It was off of the mill and I just figured out that this leg goes onto this pad right here. This mill came with a 24-foot bed extension, and so I believe that they had that leg off of there in order to put the bed extension on the mill, and so they never did put it back on. I looked through all the extra parts and I did find all the bolts that went with this. However, it's missing two of these special nuts that go on here. They're kind of self-feeding to where you don't have to put a wrench on the back side of this when you go to tighten it down. So I need to either buy some, or if I got some metal out in the shop, then I can manufacture two of these in a fairly short amount of time and save me from having to buy them. So I'll take you in the shop and we'll see if we can find some material in order to make two more of these. I try to keep my flat stock in a somewhat organized fashion. Here I see a piece of, it looks like 3/8 or 1/2 inch stock. It's the right width, and it's actually just a little bit scant or narrower than this piece, but I think it'll be just fine. There's no more less there than what you might see on a standard nut. Get it set up to where we can cut some pieces off, and we'll have to see exactly where we want to put that hole. Okay, we're over at the bench. I have a few things laid out here that I'll show you. Of course, I have my flat stock. It is 1 inch by 3/8. So I have to find the tap for that. I need to establish how far down and how far across. It looks like it's centered from left to right. How far down I need to establish the hole so I get that centered in there. I need to find out what thread size that is and what size hole that I need for my tap. So how I do that is I go through and I find the right size tap. Okay, that's got two finer threads. Could be the 3/8 tap. So I just run that in, and that tap fits that thread size. So now that I know what size tap that I need, I'll set that tap aside, and on the side of my tap it shows what size drill bit to use. This says use either number 16 or 5/16 drill bit. So I go over to my drill index and I find the 5/16 drill. Now I have the proper size drill, proper size tap to drill and manufacture that hole and thread tap in this block here. I guess you'd call that a nut. There's probably a special name for that special kind of nut. The other thing a guy might consider doing is drill a pilot hole in there. Real machinists will drill several different pilot holes, and oftentimes they don't drill any pilot holes at all. So these bits here actually have a pilot, a little step here, so I don't need necessarily to drill or to use another bit for a pilot hole. And now I need to see how long I need to make these. I need to cut these 3/4 of an inch. I'll clean up my edge here. It's a lot easier to clean up an edge on a piece of long stock than it is to clean it up on a little square. I'll have to clean it up all the way around anyway, but to start with I can just grind this off and clean this up. Now I could cheat and just trace this. I don't think it matters a whole lot, but I'm assured that it's the right length if I do it that way, as long as my finished cut is just right on the inside of that line right there. like the other one, I can clean up this edge here while I got a nice long handle to work with. And take the original piece and keep duplicating that. Now, being I'm already set up for this, I might as well go ahead and cut another one. Just in case I lose one, I put it in a box with the other spare parts I have for the mill. So we'll go ahead and get these cleaned up, take the rough edges off of these now that they've cooled down just a little bit. Set that up to 1/2 inch, just to where the line disappears on the rule. That way it'll make up for a little bit of the width on the felt tip marker. Then I'll flip it around, duplicate that line. That way I can get right to the dead center of that line, and it should be perfect center. In this particular incident, it's not really going to matter a whole lot. What does matter is the distance from here out to the outside edge where we make our tap. Because if it's held out too far away from where this rubs up against the 90-degree surface, then the bolt won't line up. Now I know there's better ways of doing this, but I don't usually do too bad about line of sight to where the center of the hole is. I take and I find the high point on the circle. I go to that high point, and that's a quarter of an inch in to where the center of the circle is to the outside edge here. I'm going to back off a little bit to compensate for the pen, and of course draw my line. Double check my measurement. That's right on. Okay, so we'll keep on doing that. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? We'll go to the drill press and drill these holes here. Now, a real machinist would take a center punch and mark where the center is. That way his drill will lead into that hole a little better. The way I'm doing it here is I just I don't have to adjust the vise this way anymore, but this way I may have to. And the other thing is, you know, if you've got some of these centering bits like this and you've got things pretty firm in your vise, it's a judgment call on the guy that's doing the drilling. If it's a real fine, a small bit, they'll have a tendency to want to wander. Not that these bits don't wander, but if you have a smaller bit, it'll have a tendency to want to bend. It'll veer off from one way or the other. So that's really critical at that point to mark center with the center punch. Okay, let's go tap some holes. So again, I established a 3/8 inch, 3/8-16 tap. Okay, I'm going to go pre-fit this and make sure that it works before I cut the other two. So we got chickens in the background doing their thing, producing eggs like they should. I think those are going to work beautifully. I'll go make the other two now. This is the pin that goes through that leg. I'll need some maybe 4 washers. I don't know if the other one has a washer on it or not. 2 bolts, 3 bolts, and 1 more of these, and I'll put the other one in the box for spare parts. Well, that concludes this part. I'm a little bit closer to getting the milk going. Again, it runs, everything runs. I'm just going through and familiarizing myself with different parts on it. Also replacing the parts that are missing and finding out where parts go. Straightening a few things out. So this is just one more step closer to making me ready to run this. So anyway, I hope it kind of helps somebody out or entertains you or whatever. Leave comments down in the comment section below and tell me your thoughts on different things. Thanks for stopping by. Take care and God bless.